kick off, a reminder that you may wish to use the language of Welsh or English in this meeting. Translation is available. I think we're all used to this now, but just to be doubly sure, if you would like to listen to the translation from Welsh into English, then at the bottom of your screen where it says interpretation, should be translation really, shouldn't it? But then let's go for interpretation. You select English there, you should be able to hear our translator speaking to us. So could you just double check that that's working, please, before we move on? I can't hear the translation at the moment.
Can you hear me? Can you hear the translator?
You know, yeah, that's great. Yeah. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. Okay. So first item on the agenda is apologies for absence. Any apologies, Sian?
No apologies received.
Lovely, thank you. Second item is declarations of interest to remind us all to declare the existence and nature of any declared personal interest. Is there anything that any members need to declare at the start here? No. Okay. Third item is urgent matters. There's none that I'm aware of for this afternoon's meeting. Fourth is the minutes of the Cabinet, pages 3 to 11, when we met on the 30th of June. Would somebody like to move that they are a correct record of the minutes of that meeting? Councillor Gregg. Okay, thank you. No objections to that. Great, thank you very much. Fifth item is announcements from me as the leader. So there's a few points here I just want to share with members and with the public alike. First of all, it's been really good to see our schools opening and working, functioning really well over the last few weeks. So when we last met, I think that was the second day of schools being open. That was the 30th of June. We're now 2 and a bit weeks into that, and just got to give credit to those head teachers who've been working really hard to get their schools into a place that they can be open and have children access those sites for that check-in and catch-up and prepare time. And also, of course, to parents as well. Some I might have to declare an interest here. Some who are really keen to have their children out of their house for a few moments. Others perhaps a little more cautious, but I'm really pleased that so many of you have engaged with our schools and have seen the measures that our schools have put in place to provide a safe environment for our children at this time. And of course, our teams in the education department, working with Councillor Julie, really thankful for the work they've been doing to allow our schools to open. So recent news, of course, is that schools will be returning more significantly back in September. So of course, there'll be much work being undertaken by schools and education departments over the coming weeks to make sure everyone's prepared for that as well. In terms of other items to announce, really pleased when last time we met, we approved the work of the Renewal Programme Board, and a number of items are coming through there at the moment. So members and residents would have seen we now have our libraries working in a different way, but people are able to access books and access the resources there as well. I've had first-hand experience of that. It's been excellent in terms of the service provided by our librarians there. So credit to them for getting themselves up and running again in a different way. Public conveniences are being opened across the county as well. I understand that by the end of this week, into this weekend, the vast majority will be up and running, and they've been opening at slightly different times. mainly due to the different levels of work required to make those facilities safe for people who need to use them. As you'll know, some of our public conveniences are much older than others, and some need different levels of work to get them into a safe place to open. But again, grateful for the work undertaken to allow those facilities to open. Also, members will have seen that on social media, there's been highlighted the work being undertaken on leisure centres to make them safe to open when they're able as well. So it's really good to see our services either opening in different ways already or being prepared to open in different ways when government allows us to do so. Very excitingly, we had our first wedding on Friday just gone since lockdown. So our registrars are also opening up in different ways to allow people to make use of those services. So for any budding brides or grooms amongst our members, you can now get yourself married at the registrar's office if you go through the appropriate processes. Final couple of points. This morning, scrutiny met formally, so really pleased to see that those meetings are happening again. I hope members found that experience in terms of using Zoom and the discussion helpful, but it was really good to see that happening there as well. The final point in terms of announcements, I'm sure, like many of our members as well, have had significant correspondence from quite a few businesses, particularly in the hospitality trade, with hoteliers, restaurants, cafes, even down to some of our fun fairs as well. Really keen to be allowed to open in a safe way, and I know that many of you have forwarded through to me some of that correspondence as well. And we are lobbying Welsh Government to allow these businesses to open in a safe way as quickly as possible. I am certainly very keen to make sure that our local economy doesn't suffer disproportionately to other areas of the UK. And we need to allow people to get back to work if it's safe to do so, and we need to allow businesses to put appropriate measures in place which allow those places to be safe as well. So just to let you know, I've heard, and we are pushing hard for Welsh Government to allow those places to open as soon as they can. So there's a number of announcements for myself. Before I move on, I realise I haven't mentioned, in terms of coming in with questions or comments, if members could use the hands or raise a hand function on Zoom here, that's the best way for us to be able to manage that. So if you want to comment or question through any of the items on the agenda, please just raise your hand virtually. It's a lot easier than me having to scan across the screen. So item 6, announcements by the Chief Executive. Ewan, is there anything else you wanted to bring forward?
No, thanks, Lead. I think you've covered all the important bases. Thanks.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. Item 7 is the modernisation portfolio and the corporate health and safety programme. This is pages 12 through to 28 of the reports pack. It was discussed at recommendations coming through from Finance and Resource Scrutiny, which met earlier today. If I hand over to Emma, Councillor Emma, who will walk us through the report, please, Emma.
Thank you, Leader. I appreciate that. Yes, in fact, I think I've seen all of you that are here right now this morning at that scrutiny meeting. With regards to this paper, I'm going to take you through some of that information. And I think firstly, I'd just like to make it quite clear how important and how valued the corporate health and safety team have been within this COVID period. They have been absolutely, as Phil Davis, HR, said this morning, outstanding in the work that they've done, and they've put us into a really good place to be able to manage the risks that are in place. So I'm very grateful to Richard and the team for all the work that they've done with regards to that. And you'll be picking up those bits throughout that report, which I am sure you've read. With regards to the Corporate Health and Safety Programme, you'll realise that it's actually a package of work and a package of projects that sit within that. The structure is there to support those projects and ensure that there is a corporate overview with strategic thinking behind it, and it ensures that coordinated development across the board as well, ensuring that we can implement each aspect of the programme in an effective way. It also contributes to the corporate plan, and you'll see the parts of the plan that are contributed to within this report. And it's hugely important to have that consistency. As I've said, the response of the Corporate Health and Safety team has been vital during our response and progress with regards to how we actually can begin to open up our buildings. You'll see that information within the renewal programme that we have, and particularly the project that I sit on within that is the WorkWise 2020. So there's a huge input from the Corporate Health and Safety team there. So moving on to the report itself, it's anticipated, you'll see page 14, that the programme will run for 5 years. Then it will use our successful programme and project management framework. So as you know from this morning's scrutiny meeting, then Gareth Roach is managing that for us very effectively. And I'm grateful to Gareth for keeping me so well updated on how the delivery of this project will run. And in fact, we have had 2 or 3 actually mini project board meetings, if you like, just to run through some of the information with regards to the competencies project and the job description centralisation project as well. You'll see on page 15 of the report that those projects are detailed, going into a little bit of detail about each one so that you have a picture of how these projects work, how they all feed into one another very much. And I think that very much came across in this morning's scrutiny. And I think we all appreciated the information that we were provided and the importance of the project for our future. With regards to what happens next, then obviously there was a resolution this morning at scrutiny that Councillor Chris Hughes be appointed as the Finance and Resources Scrutiny member to the programme board, and I look forward to welcoming him when we next have a meeting. I think he's a very good addition, so that will be much appreciated. And also there was a resolution that the programme report back annually to that same scrutiny committee. And I think it's really important that there is this scrutiny involvement going forward. So that will be very useful for us to have Chris on board, and you'll be able to see that we have numerous members of Cabinet as well. So there's myself, Councillor Goronwy and Councillor Chris Cater there representing democracy equally. So that's the bit I'm going to present to you. We do have Richard Evans and Gareth Roach on the meeting as well. If you have any detailed questions, you have any answers that you wish, so please do ask if you have anything. But other than that, I'm very happy to move this project on.
Lovely. Thank you Emma. Thanks for walking us through that. So as we mentioned from scrutiny earlier, resolutions are as outlined there, that Councillor Chris Hughes be appointed to the Corporate Health and Safety Programme Board as the Ovian scrutiny representative. The Programme Board reports back to F&R Ovian Scrutiny Committee on an annual basis, and then that the Corporate Health and Safety Programme be established. So that's what you're proposing we move today, Emma. Any questions or comments then from any members at all?
I'm happy to second that recommendation. Read it.
Okay, thank you. It's been seconded. There's no other questions or comments. So, hang on. I have a voting sheet. So let's just go through this to make sure. I'm not going to go to Councillor Emerald Goronwy, because I'm guessing by proposing second you're in favour. Let's go through the rest. So Councillor Mark.
Yeah, very happy to support. Thought the meeting this morning went very well at scrutiny, so I think it's a great programme.
Thank you. Councillor Cheryl.
Very happy to support, echo Mark's comments. Thank you.
Councillor Chris.
Yes, fully support.
Okay. Go on, we've done. Councillor Louise.
Fully support. Thank you for all the work that's gone into it.
Councillor Julie.
Yep, happy to support. Thank you.
Councillor Charlie.
Yes from me.
Councillor Greg.
Yep, fully support.
Fine, and I support too. So that's moved. Thank you very much, Emma, and all the team behind the scenes as well. Appreciated. Okay, let's move on. That was agenda item 7. Agenda item 8 is exempt items for us to consider passing a resolution under the provisions of section 100A4 of the Local Government Act 1972 to exclude the public and press from the meeting during the consideration of the below items. The reason for this proposal is on page 29 and 30 of your agenda pack, and that's the information relating to the financial business affairs of a particular personal business is within that pack. So I'll propose that we do move into as exempt items. Is that seconded by somebody?
Second it.
Okay, I'll take a show of hands from Cabinet. All in favour, please, of that? Good, thank you. I can see majority. Okay, so what will happen now is that this meeting will finish and we'll move into a different meeting, which you've got an invite for, members. So please access that now from your diaries. Thank you.